Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old as gold, but these Jefferson nickel 5-cent coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1 today, we're taking a deep dive into one of the most fascinating pieces of American coinage, the rare 1943 Jefferson nickel. This little 5-cent coin might be hiding in someone's change jar right now, but don't be fooled, it could be a hidden treasure. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll learn how this wartime coin went from being a simple piece of pocket change to a legendary collector's item, and exactly how much it's worth today. Let's start by going back in time to the early 1940s. The United States was fully involved in World War II, and almost every part of American life was affected, including the coins in people's pockets. During the war, nickel was a critical metal used for making armor and weapons. Because of this, the U.S. Mint made a big decision: they removed nickel from the 5-cent coin. From mid-1942 through 1945, the Jefferson nickels were made with an unusual alloy of copper, silver, and manganese. This temporary wartime composition created what we now call the Silver War nickels, and among them, the 1943 issue stands out as a particularly interesting year for collectors. These coins weren't just made with different metals, they also had a few visual changes that make them easier to spot. If you look closely above Monticello on the reverse of the coin, you'll notice a large mint mark, either P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco. This was the first time the Philadelphia Mint ever used a mint mark on U.S. coinage, which makes the coin even more historically significant. But here's where it gets even more exciting. While millions of 1943 Jefferson nickels were made with the silver alloy, a tiny number, so rare they can be counted on one hand, were accidentally struck on the old standard nickel composition planchets. That means they were made from the same metal used before the war, 75% copper and 25% nickel. These rare mistakes, known as transitional error coins, happened when leftover nickel blanks from earlier years were mistakenly used in the presses. Imagine that, a simple error during minting has turned these rare coins into some of the most sought-after pieces in the world of U.S. coin collecting. Now, let's talk about design for a moment. The obverse of the coin features a strong profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and author of the Declaration of Independence. His image is paired with the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." On the reverse side, we see Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia home, centered with elegance and surrounded by the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. The design is classic and understated, a tribute to one of America's founding fathers, and during wartime, it took on even more patriotic symbolism. The value of a 1943 Jefferson nickel depends on many things: its mint mark, its condition, and whether or not it's one of those extremely rare transitional error coins. Most 1943 nickels, especially those made of the wartime silver alloy, are common and can be found in many collections. In circulated condition, they may only be worth a couple of dollars. In uncirculated or proof-like condition, they can fetch a bit more, maybe $20 to $50, sometimes $100. But then there's the elite tier, the tiny handful of nickels from 1943 that were mistakenly struck on the wrong metal. These error coins have been authenticated by grading agencies like PCGS and NGC, and they have stunned collectors at auctions with their jaw-dropping prices. So how much could one of these rare Jefferson nickels from 1943 be worth? Hold on to your seat, because one of these coins, a 1943 nickel struck on the wrong planchet and preserved in remarkable condition, has been valued at $105,000. That's right. A 5-cent coin that was never meant to exist could be worth over $100,000 today. It's one of the greatest examples of how history, error, and rarity can collide to create something truly extraordinary in the world of numismatics. So the next time you go through an old jar of change or stumble across a dusty coin collection in the attic, take a close look. You might just be holding a piece of American history, and maybe even a small fortune. If you enjoyed this journey into rare coin territory, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you never miss out on a treasure like this again. Until next time, happy hunting, and may your next coin be a golden discovery. Top 2, because we're talking about a coin you've probably seen before, but almost definitely underestimated. It's the 1975 D. Jefferson nickel, yes, the humble 5-cent piece. But don't let its common appearance fool you. This coin might look like everyday change, but under the right circumstances, it could be worth a small fortune. So stay with me, because we're going to explore the fascinating backstory of this coin, what makes it so rare, how to spot the valuable versions, And why one of these coins has stunned collectors with a price tag most people would never believe. Let's begin by traveling back to the mid-1970s, a time of cultural change, political tension, and economic uncertainty in the United States. While most Americans were focused on inflation, gasoline prices, and the aftermath of the Vietnam War, the U.S. Mint continued its work producing millions of coins for everyday commerce. Among them, the Jefferson nickel rolled off the presses, specifically the ones minted in Denver, which carried the small d mint mark on the right side of Monticello, just above the building on the reverse of the coin. Now, the 1975 D Jefferson nickel wasn't intended to be rare. In fact, the Denver Mint struck over 400 million of them. That's right, hundreds of millions of these coins were made. So, you might be wondering, how could a coin that was minted in such massive numbers become valuable? The answer lies in a combination of condition, rarity, and minting anomalies. You see, while most of these nickels were used in daily transactions and show obvious signs of wear, a very small number were struck with such precision and preserved so perfectly that they now stand out as elite collector's items. These are the coins that were never touched by human hands, never dropped into vending machines or tossed into coin jars. These are the nickels that somehow escape time itself, flawless, uncirculated, and in pristine condition. And then, there's the even rarer group, coins that contain minting errors. These can include off-center strikes, double dies, planchet flaws, and full-step details on Monticello, which refers to the complete, sharp lines on the building's steps on the reverse. Most nickels from 1975, especially those from Denver, do not have full-step details due to weak strikes or worn dies. That's what makes a full-step 1975D nickel incredibly rare. Combine that with a perfect mint state condition, especially grades like MS66 or higher, and you've got something truly special. Let's not forget the design that we've grown so familiar with. On the front, we see Thomas Jefferson's side profile, a symbol of American democracy and innovation. The word liberty in the year 1975 are etched beside him, as if marking a moment in time. Flip the coin, and you'll see Monticello, Jefferson's home, designed with care and history in mind. While common at a glance, this coin holds secrets in its finer details, especially when struck sharply and preserved in near-perfect condition. So, what does it all mean for collectors? It means the hunt is on. Most of the 1975D nickels in circulation today are well-worn and worth only face value. But if you come across a gem-quality coin, especially one with a rare error, strong strike, or full-step designation, then you might be holding something far more valuable than 5 cents. These rare examples have made waves in the numismatic world. Some have been certified and graded by top agencies like PCGS or NGC and placed in prestigious collections. And one particular specimen, a stunning 1975D Jefferson nickel with exceptional quality and full-step details, shocked collectors when it was valued at an incredible $65,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 5-cent coin from 1975, struck in Denver, now valued at $65,000. So next time you go through your loose change or dig through an old coin album, take a moment to look closely. You might just discover that what seems ordinary at first glance is anything but. History, rarity, and condition can come together to turn even the most overlooked coin into something truly extraordinary. Top 3. We're going to shine a spotlight on a coin that most people overlook, one that you might have in your pocket, your coin jar, or tucked away in an old drawer. It's the 1985 D Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent piece from the United States that might look completely ordinary, until you know what to look for. At first glance, this coin might not seem like much. It's modern, not made of precious metal, and millions were minted. So how on earth could this be a valuable coin? Why would collectors spend thousands to own one? And most importantly, how can you tell if you have one of the rare, high-value versions? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll not only know the history and key features of the 1985 D Jefferson nickel, but you'll also find out why a very specific version of this coin shocked collectors with a staggering value. Let's roll back the clock to 1985. It was a year filled with cultural change. Ronald Reagan was president, the Cold War was still ongoing, and the digital revolution was just beginning. But over at the Denver Mint, the focus was steady and consistent, producing coins for the American public. Among them was the standard 5-cent piece, the Jefferson nickel. Now, millions of these coins were made. In fact, the Denver Mint alone produced hundreds of millions. So you might be thinking, if there are so many of them, what could possibly make one so special? The answer is a mix of quality, rarity, and error. You see, most coins made for circulation are struck quickly and in huge quantities, which often leads to imperfections. Weak strikes, blurry details, nicks, and scratches are all common. But once in a while, a coin is struck perfectly clean, sharp, and flawless. These are the coins collectors dream about, especially if they exhibit what's called full steps on the reverse side. Now, the reverse of the Jefferson nickel features Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's iconic home. The steps on Monticello are one of the hardest features to strike clearly. Most nickels, even in decent condition, don't show all 5 or 6 steps in detail. When they do, and the coin is in near perfect condition otherwise, it earns the full steps designation from grading services like PCGS or NGC. And here's where things get exciting. Among the flood of ordinary 1985 D nickels, a very small number stand out, coins that were struck with such precision that they display full steps and exceptional mint state quality. These coins often come from freshly prepared dies, and when preserved carefully, they become incredibly valuable on the collector's market. But that's not all. Even rarer are those with minting anomalies, minor errors that occurred during production, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws. Combine one of those rare errors with a high-grade full-step strike, and you're looking at a coin that collectors will pay serious money for. Design-wise, the 1985 D nickel keeps the same classic appearance as other coins in the Jefferson series. On the front, we see a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, stoic and strong, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," followed by the year 1985. Flip it over, and there's Monticello, the heart of the reverse design, with the words E pluribus unum, United States of America, and of course, 5 cents. It's a design that's familiar, but when perfectly struck, it looks nothing short of impressive. And now, here's the part that every collector wants to know. What is one of these rare 1985 D Jefferson nickels actually worth? If you have a coin that's been circulated, shows wear, and doesn't have clear details, it's probably worth 5 cents, just like it says. But if you have a 1985 D nickel in mint state condition, with razor-sharp features and full steps across Monticello, and especially if it has a rare error on top of that, the value increases dramatically. In one stunning case, a superb quality 1985 D Jefferson nickel, with full steps and remarkable preservation, was sold for an eye-opening price of $58,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that most people would spend without a second thought, a simple 5-cent piece, ended up being worth $58,000. That's why coin collecting is so exciting. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes, that story is more valuable than anyone expects. So the next time you go through your spare change or look through an old coin album, don't overlook the nickels, especially the ones from 1985 with a tiny D under Monticello. Because one of them might just change your life. Top 4. We're going to take a closer look at a coin that you may have handled dozens of times without realizing its hidden potential. It's small, silver-colored, and often passed over, but a rare version of it could be worth thousands. We're talking about the 1987 D Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent coin from the United States Mint in Denver. Now, before you brush this off as just another coin from your childhood change jar, let's dive into the history, the hidden rarities, and what makes one of these everyday coins potentially life-changing. Let's set the scene. It's the year 1987. The Cold War is winding down, Michael Jackson's Bad is topping the charts, and Ronald Reagan is serving his final years as president. In the midst of all this, the U.S. Mint is quietly producing coins to fuel the American economy. And among them, the Denver Mint is striking hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels. Most of them are utterly ordinary, used for snacks, bus fares, and laundry machines. But out of those millions, a few extremely rare coins slip through, coins that collectors now scramble to find. So what exactly makes the 1987 D Jefferson nickel stand out? First, let's talk about the basics. This coin carries the classic Jefferson design unchanged for decades. On the front, Thomas Jefferson stares to the left, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1987 next to him. Flip the coin over, and you'll find Monticello, his Virginia estate, engraved with simple but dignified detail. Below it reads 5 cents, and above, the words E pluribus unum out of many, one. The design is beautiful, yes. But in 1987, there were no changes, no redesigns, and no low mintages to make this coin instantly special. So what gives? Here's where it gets interesting. While most 1987 D nickels were mass-produced for daily use, a few of them were struck under extraordinary conditions, coins that show razor-sharp details, perfect surfaces, and the highly desirable full steps on Monticello. Now, what does that mean? On the reverse of the Jefferson nickel, the steps leading up to Monticello are one of the hardest parts of the design to strike cleanly. Most coins show faint or blended steps due to worn dies or rushed production. But once in a while, a coin is struck so well that you can see every line, every single step clearly defined. These are known as full-step nickels, and for collectors, they're like finding buried treasure. But that's not all, as some 1987D nickels also contain mint errors, striking mistakes, planchet flaws, or doubling that occurred during production. These aren't just random imperfections, they're rare anomalies that make each coin completely unique. When you combine a flawless strike, pristine preservation, and a recognized mint error, you're not just looking at an old nickel, you're holding a coin with serious value. Let's not forget condition. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC rate coins on a scale from 1 to 70. A high-grade 1987D Jefferson nickel, especially one with full steps, must be nearly flawless under magnification. No scratches, no wear, no discoloration. These high-end specimens are incredibly rare because almost all coins enter circulation, bounce around in pockets, and get scratched or worn down. So to find a 1987D nickel in such exceptional shape is like striking gold, and if you're lucky enough to find one that combines a mint error, full steps, and a certified high grade, you may be looking at one of the rarest Jefferson nickels of the modern era. Collectors and dealers are always on the lookout for these top-tier examples. They're willing to pay massive premiums for coins that meet all the criteria: rarity, condition, and historical significance. And while most circulated 1987D nickels are still worth their face value of 5 cents, the rarest examples, those museum-quality coins, have stunned the numismatic world with their market value. So here's the part you've been waiting for. Just how much can one of these seemingly ordinary 1987D Jefferson nickels be worth? In one standout case, a certified mint state example with perfect full steps and a rare error fetched a jaw-dropping price at auction. That coin was valued at $55,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 5-cent coin, struck in Denver in 1987, turned out to be worth $55,000. That's why coin collecting is such a thrilling journey. It's not just about old pieces of metal, it's about the hunt, the history, and the hidden gems waiting to be discovered in the most unexpected places. So, next time you're digging through a drawer, sorting your change, or flipping through a dusty coin album, pay extra attention to those nickels. Especially the ones with a little D under Monticello and a date from 1987. Because what seems ordinary at first glance might just be extraordinary in value. Top 5, where we uncover the stories behind the coins in your pocket, and sometimes, those stories are worth far more than 5 cents. Today's spotlight is on a coin that's easy to overlook, but among collectors, it's starting to turn heads. It's none other than the 1990p Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it might seem like just another ordinary coin from the 90s, but don't be fooled. There's a version of this coin that has shocked experts, stunned collectors, and brought in an eye-popping price tag. And here's the best part: you might have won and not even know it. Now let's rewind to 1990. The Berlin Wall had just fallen, technology was booming, and the United States was preparing to enter a new decade. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was producing coins by the billions to keep up with the nation's growing demand. The Jefferson nickel was one of those coins. It was struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, but today, we're focusing on the ones minted in Philadelphia, those marked with a small P on the front of the coin, just above Jefferson's shoulder. By the numbers, the 1990p nickel was never intended to be rare. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint produced well over 500 million of them. So how does a coin with such a massive mintage become a collector's dream? The secret lies in the details, the kind of details that can only be appreciated under close inspection. You see, not all coins leave the mint looking the same. Many are poorly struck or show signs of wear almost immediately. But every once in a while, a coin is struck with precision, preserved perfectly, and exhibits a unique feature that elevates it far above the rest. For the 1990p Jefferson nickel, that feature is something collectors call full steps. Let's break it down. On the reverse of the nickel, you'll find Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's famous home. The steps leading up to the building are part of the design, but on most coins, those steps are barely visible. The strike just isn't strong enough to bring them out clearly. But on a small number of nickels, the steps are fully struck, perfectly defined, and show every line in crisp detail. That's what collectors crave: a full-step Jefferson nickel, and now combine that with a flawless surface, no scratches, no wear, no blemishes, and you're talking about a mint state coin that could be worth far more than its face value. And here's where things get really interesting: some 1990p nickels not only display full steps, but also rare minting errors. These errors might include off-center strikes, die cracks, or planchet flaws, each one a result of something going slightly wrong at the mint. And in the world of coin collecting, when something goes wrong in just the right way, the value goes way up. These are the coins that become conversation pieces, auction highlights, and centerpieces in serious collections. So the big question is, how do you know if your 1990p nickel is the rare one? Start by looking closely at Monticello. Are the steps sharply defined from top to bottom? If they are, that's your first clue. Then check the surface of the coin. Is it shiny, free of damage, and well preserved? If so, you could be holding something special. And if you notice any kind of doubling, off-center strike, or unusual markings, that could be the jackpot. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have documented a few of these high-grade examples, and when they appear at auctions, they draw major attention. These are not your average pocket change. These are high-grade survivors in a sea of worn-out coins. And when the stars align, perfect condition, full steps, and a rare error, the result is nothing short of incredible. So, what is the most a 1990p Jefferson nickel has ever sold for? Believe it or not, one of these rare gems, certified by professional grading services and featuring immaculate full steps with a standout error, stunned the collecting world when it sold for an astounding price. That single 5-cent coin was valued at $47,000. Yes, you heard that right, $47,000 for a nickel. It's the kind of thing that makes you want to check every piece of change you've got. Because somewhere, hidden in a box of coins or a forgotten coin jar, might be a 1990p Jefferson nickel just like it, quietly waiting to be discovered. So the next time you go through your coins, take a moment to really look. That plain little nickel with the P might just be a 5-cent miracle. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more rare coin discoveries, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another hidden gem. Until next time, happy hunting, and keep checking those nickels. Because treasure often hides in plain sight.